right. Welcome to week 6 of the missions class, and I want to welcome Radiant Ludington, Radiant Jackson, and our Portage location. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to have Holly come up. We have a special treat tonight. We have Holly. Woo. Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right, so you guys all saw her last week on the video, but she is about the funniest person I know. She's an evangelist with a big E. She is out there sharing the gospel, sowing her seeds, doing her thing, equipping others to be able to do it. So she's here tonight to talk about our local outreach on March 21st. So she's going to give you the deets.
I will give you all of the dates. All right. Well, good evening. I'm really excited for March 21st. Y'all, that is next weekend. All right. Don't poop your pants. It's coming. All right. We're going to be there. Okay. I just want to remind you again that it's from 8:30 to 3. And we're going to meet at the downtown campus. And hi, Marcy. There's so many great people in this room. Oh, my gosh. I love it. Why am I not here? I mean, I'm here, but why am I not here? Do you know what I mean? In one moment. But anyways, we're going to meet at the downtown campus. And I want to remind you guys that Easter, or as they say on Nacho Libre, Easter's, is coming, okay? So the reason that we have it on March 21st is because, is it the next one? Is Easter? Like 2 weeks after that. Like, this could not be more strategic, okay? My second time in Huahalta, Inner Mongolia, China, all right? I was in a class. There's a dead spot here. I'm going to stop moving. Ta-da. I was in a classroom full of Chinese middle schoolers. Did it smell bad? It did. That's neither here nor there. But we were telling them the story of Easter, which was illegal, but whatever. You're going to die some way, am I right? Okay, that's right. Thank you, PJ. So I was in there, and we were using, have y'all ever seen those resurrection eggs? Right? Like you open up the first one, and it's like the robe of Jesus, and then like the next one is like the cross and the whip and the nails, and you keep going along, and you get to the last egg, and you'll never guess. It's empty. Right? So we're telling this story to these Chinese children who have never heard the gospel before. And we get to that last one, and it's empty. And these kids are listening because they're like, where's the thing, right? And so we tell them, guys, Jesus came back to life. Ta fu huola. He came back to life. In that room of 60 middle schoolers, literally every single one of them went, oh. They couldn't believe it. They had never heard the story of Jesus. And we might think that that story is thousands and thousands of miles away. And while it is, there are people in the greater Kalamazoo area that think they know who Jesus is, but they don't know that he literally died for them and had the power to come back to life. And so we do this local outreach, not with my full-time students. They're in the nations right now, whatever. God bless them, am I right? We do it with y'all, not because we're the real deal, but y'all are the real deal, all right? You know the people of Kalamazoo. All right, we're going out together as the local body because y'all have been interceding for this city. You have co-workers in this city, right? We're going out together. Who's doing the watch this month? Who's praying for prodigals to come home? When is our local outreach? During the watch. Was that strategic? Yes, it is strategic. We are boots on the ground. We pray, we intercede, we pull on the Father's heart for the ones that he longs after. And then we take his hand and we go on the streets of Kalamazoo and we share the gospel with them, okay? So that's why we're doing it, right? Because there's people here in our city that need to know his story, all right? So, again, if you're booked on March 21st, it's only because you're going to be here, right? Or at the downtown campus, am I right? Yeah, there's a few yeses. I love that. Okay, let me guilt you into coming. No, I'm kidding. I really want y'all to come. And let me tell you, you're going to wake up that morning and you're going to feel like you had a hangover. Even if you never had one. I've never had a hangover. But let me tell you what, you are sure going to feel like that. All right? You're going to be so tired, you're thinking, I can't even roll over to the other side of my bed, much less roll out of my bed to get there. Like, the attacks will be on, okay? The enemy, he doesn't fight fair, but he doesn't fight new, okay? It's the same plays every time. You're not going to feel good. You're not going to want to come. Shelly, am I lying? Last year, you were this close to not coming. And was it one of the best days of your life? It was incredible. We're going to go to laundromats. We're going to pay for people's laundry. We're going to pray with them. We're going to talk with them. We're going to go downtown to an undisclosed location, mostly because we're not sure yet where it's going to be. But we are going. It's like a secret. It's like a little mystery with the Holy Spirit. And we're going to set up a pop-up shop for people to come and eat, to get prayed for, to buy clothes for free, right? That's why you're donating. There's a tote in the back, and whoever already brought stuff, thank you. It's going to be awesome. It's going to get us out of our comfort zone. Isn't that fun? Okay, any questions? Let me make sure I said everything. I said too much. Did I not, Rachel? Did I not? Okay, uno minuto. Okay, yeah, no, that's all. Any questions? Yes, Rachel. Yes. Yes. No, there's not. I'm saying yes, but no. They need underwear. The women need bras. They need socks, shoes, sweaters, things of that nature. Reading glasses. 2 or higher. 2 or higher. Can I get an amen? Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything else that they would need? Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. Toothbrushes, wipes, floss. I mean, if you think about it, they probably don't have floss. Okay, so next Wednesday will be the deadline for bringing stuff so that we can do it in an orderly fashion. But if on Saturday morning, the 21st, you're like, I found a whole bag of clothes, I'm not going to say no to that, right? But preferably next Wednesday. Any more questions? We good? God, do I get to introduce Pastor Joel? Oh my gosh. So I met Pastor Joel 6 years ago in a living room in China. I was jet lagged. He was debriefing. It was great. As a missionary, he had just gotten off the field. Wow. Context is everything. Anyways, he came and ministered to our team in China. It was awesome. And then we went to Saudi Arabia together with Oscar and Shelly. And who else? Anyone else in the room? Well, obviously, he's the real deal. He is the dream missions pastor. If you're a missionary, which I might be the only one in the room, he is the dream missions pastor. So it might be story time with Pastor Joel, and you don't want to be anywhere else on a Wednesday night. So without further ado, the myth, the legend, the incredible Pastor Joel Dorlag.
Gracias. Someday when I grow up, I'm going to be like Holly. That's my plan. Good evening. That was quite an intro. My name's Joel. If we haven't met, I'd love to talk. Anytime you can grab me, especially if we talk about missions. I'm used to talking for like 4 to 5 hours straight about this, so they asked me to condense it down, and we'll see how we do. I've got some loose notes for us tonight, but have you guys been enjoying your class with Renee? That was like a 4 out of 10. That's a 4 out of 10. I don't know if Jesus is impressed with that or not, but okay, well, I love it, and I think that Renee does a great job, and so thank you, Renee, and yeah, I'd like to be here all the time, but I'm just not around, so I'm glad to be here tonight. Hopefully some of this is really good for you. So there's a little bit of review. If you've been to my Kingdom Builders night last June, it was awesome, but you probably had time to forget. And so I'm going to let that go. I'm going to start out tonight with just a couple quotes. I like to do that. Our Explore books, I don't know if you've noticed, but every lesson starts with a quote. Pretty sure these aren't in the book. And so both of these quotes are by Hudson Taylor, who is incredible. If you ever have a lot of time on your hands, you can read all of his biographical work. But it says this is my quote to start today. Many Christians / missionaries estimate difficulties in the light of their own resources, and as a result, attempt little and often fail in the little they attempt. All of God's giants have been weak men who did great things for God because they reckoned on his power and on his presence with them. And that's pretty good stuff. And so my name's Joel. I'm a weak man. And over the course of a number of years, I've gotten better at both being obedient and reckoning on the power and the presence of my God. And I've decided I'm going to follow Jesus. Anywhere that he calls me, that's where I'm going to go. And my hope is that for every one of you here, that you'll do that. And for those of you that have not been on an impact trip, I'd love to see you on an impact trip in the next 12 months. So let's make it happen. You're not going to regret that. 2019, I started here at Radiant Church. Pastor Lee took a real chance and hired me as the missions pastor. And I'm sure you've heard the kind of mission origin story of Radiant Church, but essentially Pastor Lee and Jane, they felt called to be missionaries, and just before going felt like the Lord said, don't go, stay, plant a church, a praying and worshiping church with a heart for missions, and you're going to do more for the nations by doing that. And I tell everybody that I can that I have the absolute honor of being able to live in the fruit of that obedience and see firsthand the words that God spoke over Pastor Lee come to pass. And I love it. We've got values at Radiant Church. My favorite one is the fifth one. It's missions motivated. Can we give it up for the fifth value? When we say we're missions motivated, we value the urgent responsibility and privilege given to us by God to proclaim the gospel to all people, tribes, and nations. And so tonight I'm going to get to take you through sort of the who, the why, and the what of missions at Radiant, and probably share some decent stories along the way. Just for a little context, I'm going to throw a couple pictures up. You got that first picture. And I don't think that you guys have covered all of this in your class yet, hopefully. But this is just a little context. So 125 years ago, Christians by continent. If you haven't seen this, people would say that around 1900, Christianity was largely, some people would say largely a white religion. And I don't say that to bring any sort of racial thing into it, but if you look where it is, it was 82% in the north, and it was a European kind of religion. It came over, and that's where 82% of the Christians were at in 1900 yet. And then fast forward one slide. One picture. Maybe that's two. This isn't the one I'm looking for, but we're getting there. That's the one. 2020, 100 years. 23% of the Christians in the world in the north. And so I just like to point out the huge difference between 1900 and 2020, a massive shift. And some people like to say that Christianity has been just declining in the West and in the North. But what I like to point out is that actually around 1900 and shortly after that was like a really, really big missions movement that was fueled by prayer. And then they started sending people out. And where did they send most people? They actually sent most people to the global south, to Latin America and to Africa. And so when I look at this, I'm not going to focus on a decline necessarily in the north, but an effective missions movement that really worked. And so that's pretty crazy. When you look at Africa, 162 million, that was in 2020. I don't know how many millions it's grown by, but the center of global Christianity today is in the heart of Africa, by far. By far. There are more Christians in Africa than anywhere, and 100 years ago, there were not many at all. And so this is what can happen. This is a huge shift that has happened over 100 years, and I think today we're in even a more exciting time to be a part of the Great Commission. Now you can throw up that other slide. This is a density map, and it's just showing where Christians in the world live in 2020, and the darker the blue is the higher density of Christians. And so we talk about things like the 1040 window and the unreached and stuff like that. This map, to me, makes it very easy to look at where should we be going with our gospel effort. It's now you can kind of picture that. Does that help anybody? Like, that's where Christians are living in 2020. And so that's pretty obvious. If I'm just starting out and saying, man, I want to start a missions program, where would be some good places to focus? I love that map. So for the last century, and unfortunately continuing into today, most churches' missions programs have been emotionally driven. And a lot of you probably experienced this in a church growing up, or maybe even recently. It's really the most common thing. Missionaries will come in and they'll share stories that emotionally excite churches to support the work that they're doing. And the goal is to move people emotionally rather than to educate them. And churches would typically support workers related to the members of the church or those with the best, most heart-wrenching emotional story. There's no real strategy to that, and it doesn't really get us from where we're at to where we need to be. The issue with the imbalance in missions is that if we don't make a change, it's not going to change. And so less than 1% of funding towards mission and less than 10% of the laborers are going to that light area on the map. So 6 years ago when I started and didn't have a clue what I was doing, God led me in the first week of my work to the Middle East, and I went. And I met about 100 people that were giving their lives to see the gospel spread and churches planted in that white region, essentially. Most of them in the Middle East itself. And it messed me up. It introduced me to a whole new world. And from that moment, God began to set us up as Radiant Church with some of the most amazing partners and missional thinkers alive today. And I couldn't be more blessed to be a part of that. You want to throw up that next picture? This is a good picture that shows where we're involved in the world now. It's not the easiest to see, but you can see the dots there. If you look at our partnerships, you should be able to see that they're pretty heavily concentrated in that area of the map that was pretty white before. And that's important. What I came up with in the first 6 months of my role, and then meeting with Pastor Lee, was that we had a real burden to say that at least 50% of our time, talent, and treasure missionally would be focused among the unreached, among spreading the gospel where it hasn't been spread, among planting churches where it hasn't been. And so that today is still a core of our mission strategy, is that at least 50%, I think we're actually running about 58, close to 60% of our missional effort is going among unreached people. And that's a huge deal. And I would encourage any church planter to begin with that on your heart, and we're going to see things change. We want to see Jesus come back, correct? Yeah, I do. And so if the Great Commission is a task to actually be completed, then we have to be strategic and we have to do things differently to get there. Where am I at? There's more information available to us today than ever before. And we're looking to use that information to educate our church and to form a strategic plan. And so we changed some partnerships. It was a difficult season. But we're in a great spot right now. God has blessed us both globally and locally with amazing partners. Our partners at Radiant Church are family. They're family. I talk to most of our partners on a monthly basis, a lot of them on a weekly basis, some of them on a daily basis. And that's just the way that I like to do it. As a worker on the field, I needed more connection, and I wanted partnership to mean something. And so it's a relationship to us. We've got a director of missionary care now that happens to be my wife. And we are taking care of our partners like none other. And they know that they are loved and they know that they are prayed for, which is so important to me and so important to them. We're a body, the body of Christ, and we're connected. And what that means is that when they celebrate, we want to celebrate. And when they hurt, we hurt. And we take both of those things in prayer to God on a regular basis, and they know that we're doing that for them. People ask me a lot, like, there's different strategies that churches have. Do you work with individuals or organizations? My answer is yes. We're working with a lot of individuals. We're working with a lot of organizations at Radiant. We're currently working with roughly 40 organizations, both locally and globally through our department. 10 of them are local, 30 of them are global, and of the 30 that are global, 20 of them are in the 1040 window. And so that's pretty awesome. Do we send and support people from the USA, or do we work with indigenous people? Some people only do one or the other. We're doing both. We support around 40 Westerners, I would say, mostly people from the U.S. that are living cross-culturally, and we're supporting well over 100 indigenous workers in the nations where they're at. Our finances, and I love this, our finances that we give through our Kingdom Builders offerings on the weekend, they are hitting typically 40 countries on a regular basis. And that's no small feat. And so our finance department is like my favorite department. We've come a long ways. I have stretched them thin, but they do an amazing job, and we get to be a part of that. Like our hard work, your hard work, gets to make an impact on a regular basis in 40 plus nations of the world, most of them where the gospel is just getting spread and churches are just getting planted. And so that is awesome. Radiant Church, we have a new mission statement, if you didn't know. And so I'm not going to do a mission statement challenge, but our mission statement is leading people to encounter, follow, and proclaim Jesus. And so it only makes sense that our missional partnerships locally and globally would be doing the same because this is who we are. And so I see this work as a work that we're doing together. Again, partnership is a relationship, it's family to me. And so I came up with 5 together we statements, and I can't remember if I shared these before or not. Hopefully it's new to somebody here, but it's really good, and it'll help me lay out some things and share some testimony too. But my 5 together we statements about missions at Radiant is: together we're laying foundations and we're planting churches. And so we're fueling efforts in planting churches to make disciples locally and in the most difficult missional context the world has to offer today. To some degree, nearly all of our partnerships are engaged in this work. I've got a million examples and testimonies, but I have less than an hour. And so I love talking about Ethiopia because my friend Mezgabu is amazing, but God is doing a work in Ethiopia among unreached people groups, among animistic, witchcraft, and Muslim-dominated areas that is just, it's hard to keep up with. And we get to be a big part of it through both prayer, finances, and I take people over there. And so here's a plug. There's an Ethiopia, impact trip coming up. Tell your friends and join that. But that's right. But in Ethiopia, it's like if I go a month without talking to Mezgabu, it's just like, wait, what is happening? So he launched 50 more training centers in the last quarter where they're training church planners. Just, like that. Just we launched 50 training centers. They don't have to build $1 million building to do it. Some of them are under a tree. But they're all going through the same material, the same training and everything, and it's happening at scale. And it's needed at scale. And so that's just a riot. I'm pretty sure they have baptized close to 2,000, if not more, former Muslims this year. This year. It's absolutely crazy. So they are planting churches where there's no churches. So you're going into a village where the meeting place is the mosque, and that's what they've got. And whatever church you're going to plant is going to end up being next to that mosque. And so it's pretty interesting context. In the nation of Iraq, we have incredible partners. We've got a family, an Australian family that most people don't know anything about. I think they are in our prayer book under a fake name. Sorry about that. But they've been laboring in this region for 8 years now. And I think my friend Jeremy is his name. He one time spent 3 or 4 hours laying out the missional history, the Christian missional history of that region of Iraq for the last 150 years. And at that point, he said that it was specifically no woman missionary had made it longer than 5 years in that region without dying or literally losing her mind. Like, literally going mad. That's a stronghold, okay? That's what it looks like to work in a stronghold sometime. And as he's telling me that, he and his wife had lived there for 6 years, and so she's incredible. And now they've been there for 8 years. But they were there for years and years and years before they saw their first person come to faith. And these are the partnerships that we're looking to have to strengthen. We want to keep people healthy and happy and on the field in the hardest places in the world so that they can be resilient and endure. And when God softens the hearts of these people, they're ready. And right now, the last 4 months, they've seen more fruit than in the last 8 years. And if they wouldn't have stuck it out, they wouldn't be around for that. And their biggest issue right now is finding a safe place where they can study the Bible with unbelievers and the few new believers that they have, because homes are no longer safe where they're at. And so they're like, we got to find a place to go. But these are the problems that we want to be trying to solve right now, because that's crazy after all those years. And now to see people are coming to Christ and they are going to plant a church. They'll plant multiple churches. In another part of Iraq right now, their churches are splitting. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way at all. They've just some of them just gotten too big. And some of them have gotten to a point where some of the demographic doesn't make sense, and it would actually be healthier for them to split. And so they're doing that. They're taking one and they're going to split it into four. And they're going to grow. And these laborers in that region have been, some of them over 10 years, living, following Jesus. They would say, we feel like we're throwing seeds at cement. Day after day after day. But we're living in exciting times right now because God is softening the Arab heart in the nation of Iraq, like he has done in the nation of Iran over the years. It's just been the last 3 years we've seen such growth and fun stuff there. And I guess I got a note here to tell a story about what it looks like to plant these churches, and who are the types of people that are working and making this happen. And the story is a bit sensitive, so we can't share it on social media. I don't mind having it on video. But one of the ways that our partners in Iraq and in a lot of these places work is they use social media advertising and hooks in the algorithm. And so you have people that social media usage in the Middle East is absolutely insane. You think it's bad here? You think your kids are on their phones here? Like it's crazy over there. And so they're on it all the time, and they're struggling or they're seeking, and they see one of these ads and they click it, and it's like, what if it's true, or whatever it is that they click on. Next thing you know, they're interacting with an online missionary, and they're asking their questions. So this situation took place about 1.5 years ago in Iraq, where a guy responded and started interacting with the site, and then they had a guy answering questions, and after about 2 months of that, they sent one of their guys down to meet this individual in person, which is always risky. And so this guy, he's from the city of Fallujah, which a lot of you would remember from the news throughout the years of war and of ISIS and everything else. And so it's not a great place, and so it takes a little bit of courage to just pack up and go meet a complete stranger down there, but they did that. And he met with this guy. He began going down there once a month for a while, and then once a week for a while. And this guy in Fallujah ends up having a dream, meeting Jesus, and getting radically saved, like radically saved. He's not just anybody from Fallujah. His dad was one of the founding members of a very well-known terrorist organization that I won't name on video, but he was raised in it. All he knew from birth was that terrorist organization and what they did, and so that's just what he did. But he was in prison with a number of other terrorist leaders in the early 2000s, and after that they asked him to join leadership of ISIS as it was forming, and he says, I don't know why, but I didn't do it. And really, in reality, he was losing his faith in Islam, which happens to a lot of these guys. And typically at that point, they will try and find a more radical imam because they figure if they must be doing it wrong. And so they want to learn how to do it right. And then they go down that road, and it just gets worse. And then he became an atheist, and most of them do. And you only last too long as an atheist, and then you become depressed and suicidal. And so he followed that path, and he was depressed and suicidal, and he was seeking online, and he had questions in his heart, and he fell into the trap. And Jesus got him. And this guy has 2 wives and 6 kids. His wives are still today practicing Muslims from very highly influential conservative Muslim families. But after a year of discipling him, he had 2 of his kids have gotten saved. He's moved his family into a safer city, and I was able to meet with him last November after praying for him for a year. I was able to sit and meet with him, which was incredible. He's an evangelist. He's a discipler. He would be perfect to run a new church plant, except he's got 2 wives, and we have biblical standards that say, yeah, you have to be a husband of 1 wife. Like literally. These are the complex challenges that we have on the field. It's our viewpoint that he can't divorce one of his wives just to make that cut. He has to love and care for both of his wives as equally as he can until death do them part. It's a commitment that he made. It's something that he wouldn't do again. He's not going to raise his kids to do it, but it's where he's at. And so I met with him in November and got to spend a lot of time praying with him. And before I left the last day, I was holding hands with him and praying with him for his future and for his family. And I left, and 2 days after that, he was on the streets in Mosul sharing the gospel, and he got arrested. And he was with 6 other people, and they arrested them all. They released everybody else right away, and they kept him because they knew who he was. And they took him to prison, and we feared for the worst. We didn't hear from him for a couple of days. But what happened while he was in prison is literally straight out of the book of Acts. It's straight out of the book of Acts. The underguards wanted to torture him. They offered him to recant his faith, and they would let him out. And he stood up in the whole prison and shouted, "If being a Christian is so bad, then you can just kill me." And they were like, "What?" And all their bosses came in and wondered what the ruckus was. And they ended up sitting in a circle, the bosses of this prison, and saying, "Tell us your story." And he got to share the gospel with all of them. As he was sharing the gospel with them, 2 guards out in the yard got in a fight, and one of them shot the other. Literally. And they brought him in. They prayed for him, and he was healed. In front of everybody. Yeah. And they said, one of the guys running the prison said, "This is Islam. This is what Islam has done. You're out there just shooting each other. It's hate and murder, and it doesn't make any sense." And they actually put together a plan to transfer him to another prison in hopes that the same thing would happen. And so after spending a week and a half in one prison, he was transferred to another. And at that prison, essentially the same thing happened. He was able to share the gospel with everybody. He was able to have friends come in, share testimony, share the gospel. Multiple people got saved. He was released from prison after 2 weeks on one condition, that he would come back and distribute Bibles. This is just a handful of months ago in Iraq. That didn't make CNN, that didn't make Fox News. And so a week after he was released from prison, he went with 2 of his friends, and they drove back. And you've got to go through 2 or 3 checkpoints run by Iranian-backed militia groups to get there with a car full of Bibles. And they passed them all out. That's pretty awesome, right? That's pretty awesome. Just a couple of weeks ago when Ramadan started before the war, I was talking with one of our partners in Iraq, and he had taken his family out to the middle of a park in their community, and we're having a huge picnic because they're eating no matter what at this point. They've done the thing where they fasted with their neighbors before, but now they're just openly having a big family picnic in the park. And then he just started going up to people and sharing the gospel. Middle of the day, first or second day of Ramadan, before the war, ended up passing out like 30 Bibles that day. People are hungry. People are hungry like never before. There's never been a better time to be an ambassador for Jesus Christ than there is right now. And so when the news is crazy, chaos creates access. These are the times that we're living in. These are the people that God is working. Faraz is my former jihadi terrorist friend, and he is an amazing leader and an amazing discipler. He is bold as ever, and he's going to make a huge impact for the kingdom and the nation of Iraq. And that is Saul to Paul, and it's happening way more than we know about, and it's super encouraging. So together we're educating, we're equipping, we're training, and we're sending. It's a big part of what we do. Obviously, you're sitting here as a part of the Radiant School of Ministry. Locally, we're supporting the Tree of Life, the Path of Life School, because we believe in a Christian-based education being available to anyone that wants it. We have our outreach training opportunities with Miss Renee that are great. And our Explore class and our Impact trips is what we're doing here locally. Globally, as you know, we've been a part of building just a ton of schools in India with Brother Abraham. We're currently helping partners in Haiti build a Christian school. In the Philippines, we have just opened up, and there is currently running right now the first session at our mission training and sending base, which is pretty sweet. It was a big give project. We've got partners in the nation of Egypt that run an incredible school similar to RSM, but in the heart of Cairo. It is one of the coolest schools I have ever been to. And I've got the best translator. She's got a sweet voice, and she's good. And I got a little earpiece, and I could just sit in that room all day long and be taught by the Egyptians. And that's something that's not listed anywhere. We're helping to take Egyptians that are scared to share the gospel with their Muslim neighbors in Egypt because they've been under persecution for so long. And we're getting them trained in outreach and evangelism on the streets of Iraq so that they can go back to Egypt with confidence and boldness to reach their Muslim neighbors. We're educating people at a vocational training center that we've been a part of helping get going in rural Kenya. In Guatemala, our partners there do mostly education on children's ministry for other churches. And then Michael teaches at a Bible college down there and does an amazing job. We've got a program that ran for a lot of years in the nation of Iraq with our partners where every medical student graduate, so the bright ones, right? Every medical school graduate had to go through a program with our mission partner in Iraq for years, for like 3-4 years straight. And now the program's dead. But for 3 to 4 years, that was awesome. And you know what? A couple of them got saved. That's pretty awesome, right? They all gained incredible skills. But that's kind of how we're reaching people there. We have a project that we helped start, launch, and fund in the nation of Armenia, where we've been trained 50 to 100 Iranian pastors at a time for months on end. It's just a 13-hour train ride from Tehran to 15 minutes from the facility. So training, education, very important to us. Together we're caring for the vulnerable. We're caring for the exploited, the orphans, poverty, trafficking victims. It's important that we're not just focused on getting the gospel to the unreached. We're doing the whole deal. Locally, we have incredible partners. If you weren't aware, at the Kalamazoo Deacons Conference, I think everybody should go there and make a friend. The Gospel Mission is a great place to go and to serve and spend your time. Alternatives does an incredible job. We're helping out with food insecurity through 12 baskets and through Kalamazoo Loaves and Fishes and through our Power Up program that nobody's ever heard of. Have you never heard of the Power Up program? We got a couple. There's always a couple. It's been running for years. It's 100% funded by Radiant Church. We're feeding between 400 and 600 students every weekend. What's that? So 516 right now every week with food for the weekend. When they leave school on Friday, they've got food for the weekend. That program is 100% funded by Kingdom Builders at Radiant Church, has been for years. We've got teams of volunteers that show up at our facility every week. They purchase, they pack, and they distribute the food. It's an incredible program. And so we're doing a lot for our community, for those that are hurting in our community. And our partners that are boots on the ground are some of the best ever. And they all need more help all the time. And so if you want more info on that, just shake Renee, and she'll get you started. I had the opportunity of spending the last couple of weeks with some of our partners in Thailand, working with victims of trafficking, exploitation, women that have been in the commercial sex industry for most of their lives. The first time that I ever went there, I went to dinner with some of these women, and there was a woman that was 47 years old. She had come out of the commercial sex industry 2 months prior to that. Up to that point, she had been in it since she was 8 years old. She had come out of it, met with our partners, received healing, met Jesus, got saved, and she was turning her life around. And this woman could not say the word Jesus without just erupting. And everyone around the table, the same story, over and over and over again. And so the last couple of weeks, we were able to visit with a team there and see again the amazing work that they're doing, like literally the beast. It's pretty wild there. Their drop-in center is across the street from a boxing ring and 50 bars where there's about 450 women being trafficked every night. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of a ministry that's there, that loves them right where they're at. Helen, who started it, she said, I don't really need to do a lot of evangelism. By the time they come to me, they've met him. Isn't that good? Together we're waging war through prayer and worship. I got the 1 minute sign until my Q&A, but we're taking the songs of this house to the nations. And we're praying and we're worshiping in places where it matters and where there hasn't been enough of it to see strongholds broken, walls torn down, the ground churned up, fertilized, ready for a move of God. I got another picture with a story. Can you throw that up? This is just super cool. This is one of my current favorite pictures that I have. This was from Ethiopia last year when I was out there. I got to witness well over 1,000 people being baptized in different communities in a couple of weeks. And in this one, I think this day there was probably 600-700 people baptized. And this guy was coming out of the water, and something about him, I couldn't take my eyes off him. I didn't know what it was. And he came out of the water, this huge smile, and I gave him a big hug for a long time. And our partner there, Mezgabu, came up to me and he said, you know who that is? I said, no, I don't know who that is. And he said he was the witch doctor in this village for the last 20 years. And that's his wife. And they both got saved. They both got baptized that day. And man, when my family lived in Haiti, we lived next door to the witch doctor. So I got a soft spot for witch doctors. It's a real deal. And that guy had gotten saved because we bought motorcycles for church planners that wanted to go further and reach more communities. And one day, a guy on a motorcycle rolled into this village and went straight to the witch doctor and just wouldn't leave him alone, and kept showing up and kept showing up and kept showing up. Guy gets saved, guy gets baptized. So this was last April, I think. Go to my next picture. So I don't know if you can tell, but the dude on the right, that's the same dude. So this is now about a month and a half or so ago. I get this picture from Mezgabu. And he said, you remember that witch doctor? I said, yeah, I'll never forget that witch doctor. Because that picture of him and his wife is like the best picture of freedom I've ever seen. He said, well, he's planted 6 churches. And this is another witch doctor that he just baptized. Isn't that cool? That's cool. And so strongholds are breaking. They really are. It tells us in the Word that, in the end times, that the darkness is going to get darker. but the light is going to get lighter. It's literally happening at the same time. And so I share a little good news because there's no good news on the news. I don't know if you've noticed. But there has never been a better time to be an ambassador for Jesus Christ than there is right now. People are hungry, and people need the gospel because they need hope, and it's literally the only thing that offers hope to a dying world. There's just absolutely no hope in witchcraft, in Islam, or Buddhism, or any of the other stuff. And as the darkness gets darker, people are getting hungrier. And so that's a lot of fun. And I think I'm out of time on my notes. But Holly went long. So I love the fact that you guys are getting educated. It's part of what we want to do here is educate on missions, and we're expanding that. And so we'll have more classes on Wednesday nights in the future. We want to expose you. We want you to go out and to volunteer locally. We want you to sign up for an impact trip and step out in faith and do something that you thought you would never do. I mean, Shelly went to Saudi Arabia with me, so you can go wherever. You want to come to Iraq with me next week? We're leaving on Monday. That's legit. I'm taking a team to Iraq on Monday, and so we appreciate your prayer for that. We want to empower you if you've got dreams and visions that the Lord has laid on your head or on your heart to do something either for your community or the nations of the world. And we want you to just do more, to be more willing, to not so much worry about your ability. God is not that concerned with your ability. He's concerned with your availability. My ability is not that impressive. But once I began making myself available, God just started to use me. And it's been a wild ride. I wouldn't trade it for anything, and I would invite anybody to come along on the journey. And so maybe God's given you a vision. Let's set up a meeting sometime. You got to start telling people about it. That's the next step. Maybe it's getting exposed. Sign up for something. But I can guarantee you that God wants to use you to see the Great Commission realized in our generation. Amen? Okay. I'll take questions if you got them. I think we got a few minutes, and I need water anyway, so. Renee has a question.
Some of our partners have fake names.
Why do some of our partners have fake names? Because we've got security issues. I mean, we got a lot of partners in nations where it's pretty illegal to do what they're doing. And we'd just like to see them do it longer. And so we're going to use fake names. We're going to blur photos. I'll use a fake photo sometimes. I'll do anything to protect our partners. But there's a lot of stories that we can't share. There's a lot of stuff we can't do from the stage because we're streaming online. And we care more about our partners than we do about marketing or anything else. And so if you want more information than you have right now, the first step is signing up for our Kingdom Builders private Facebook page. I do put a lot more information on there than I do anywhere else. And we've got a monthly newsletter that I put more into. Or come to prayer Thursday morning, 7 o'clock at the Radiant City Center. You're going to learn a lot, and God wants to use you. Is that a good answer? Okay, next. What impact trips are we taking this year? We're going to test my memory, okay? On Monday, I am leading an impact trip to Iraq. That one is probably closed. When we come back from that, we have a team going to Malawi, Africa. I believe I'm wearing a shirt that says Malawi. Very nice. We'll do that April 9th. After that, my wife and I are leading a team to the United Arab Emirates with some of our incredible partners that nobody's ever really heard anything of. Oliver is on the team. And we've got room. We've got a team of 4 right now. I think I can take 8. It's going to be an incredible experience. I don't believe that the current war is going to change any of our plans. One of the most, I think, intriguing, exciting things is we're going to try and spend an entire day at an Islamic missionary training school. I mean, come on, right? I mean, you might as well go and learn about Islam from them and then ask whatever questions you have. And the guy leading the school is going to interrogate me, and it'll be fun. And our partner there has a great relationship with him. And so it's just going to be a really unique experience and a great time with our partners in the UAE. Jeff and Becky Eckert are taking a team to Ethiopia. That is also in May. I was going to take a team to Haiti in June, but I've moved that to August. So we've got Silver Sneakers, 55-plus team. Come on. Sharon, you signed up. That's right. Yep. And then Renee's taking a team in July to Appalachia. And then what else do we have going on? August, I'm taking a team to Haiti. September, we'll do Mexico. September, I'll probably do a Middle East something. October, we're going to do a little Middle East trip, a Thailand trip, and a Philippines trip. 2 Philippines trips, September, October-ish. We'll be launching very soon. December, I'm taking a team to Saudi Arabia. And that's just what I can think of off the top of my head, but I think we got like 22 teams going this year. I mean, pretty much. There's something for everybody. I don't know if you remember Joyce, the sweet young lady that I had on video for Kingdom Builders Sunday last year. She was 81. She left yesterday with a team for Ireland. That's right. I love her.
Yeah, could you explain a bit more about like the value of going on a trip like this? Just thinking from my own experience, going to a place that like I don't speak the language. Like, what value does that provide to the people there, and specifically the partners that are working there?
Sure. So we call them impact trips, not for fun or for cuteness, but we want to all of these trips to make an impact. Obviously, we want them to make a good impact on you, on the partner, and on the community. And so some places we go, it's real physical, right? And so I'm taking a group of guys to Haiti in August that have skills to build because we're building. And for a lot of people, that's a lot of what they think of with a short-term mission trip. I'm going to go and I'm going to do a project. And that's great. And so for these guys, it's pretty easy, really. I mean, most of them have a skill. They're going to be able to use it. They're going to be able to step back and see that I have done something that has made an impact. They're going to work side to side with other guys that don't speak the same language, but they serve the same God. And so they'll learn how to sing a couple of songs or something like that, or, say a quick prayer. And it's just encouraging for the guys there that anybody would want to come to Haiti. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, Haiti kind of sucks, right? It's not like number one on the travel list. And so it's encouraging just to show up. For them, it's encouraging for our partners that people that support them are willing to come and to work. And then we're gonna pray and we're gonna worship with them. If they're running a church, we're gonna help out with that so that they don't have to and give them a break. That's one example. Now, where it gets tricky is a lot of our partnerships and a lot of our trips are happening in places where we're not doing service projects and we can't preach on the street. And so what do you do? And one of the things that we've had to start doing more of is finding groups of people that are willing to go to hard places in the world and worship and pray with our partners. So you got a family that's been out on the field essentially alone or with the same other family that, they see a lot of, it's like eating the same thing every day, and now we get to come in with a fresh fire and a fresh wind and pray for the things that God has put on their heart with them and worship with them, create an environment of prayer and worship where they can be fed, that they don't have to put forth the effort to. And it's an incredible blessing to them. And we believe that worship and prayer equals breakthrough. And I don't know if I was skeptical, but I was not operating in my strong suit when I started doing this. I'm not like a worship leader, prayer leader guy. But God used me in a weak area, and it's been a wild ride. And he wants to use you. Doesn't matter what language you speak. You can pick something up in a week. I'm out of time. Here comes Renee.
Could I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
What's the best way to sign up?
Oh, there's only one way to sign up. Stay tuned for next week. We've got cards, but Renee will explain that.
Cool. Yeah, you can jump online if you want to look. If you go on Radiant's website under missions, find a trip, you can go. But I'll be bringing cards next week and talking a little bit more through some of that stuff. I'm just popping up here to let you know that you still have to do your homework for this week. So we're going to just kind of just keep flowing through. I don't want you guys to get behind on your Explore book. We'll just kind of double dip next week as far as going through the lessons and stuff, and especially with that the 30-day prayer or biblical reading, just keep working through that, okay? Great.
All right. Give it up for Holly, for Pastor Joel, for Renee. Guys, we are so blessed to have such an incredible missions department in our church. They are top notch. They're doing things off the charts. You see where they're hitting that 1040 window. It's incredible what they're doing and the money that they're raising. You know, the big give, over $1 million. And for Jackson and Ludington, I want to let you guys know that if you ever want to join one of our trips, you're more than welcome to do that. Just reach out to our missions department, and they will help you out there. And you guys have a good week. Thank you for joining us.